Never change a running system. For quite a time, this is my go-to setup for making good techno from scratch. In this video, I show you all the parts of this setup. And before that, I make a jam so you can hear how it sounds. Okay, this was a short glimpse of my techno setup. Now I will explain every part of it in 6 sections. So the first section is the sequencer / Midi / clock part. The second one is the kick. The third one, the synth / rhythmic part. The fourth one, the looper. The fifth is the effects section. And the sixth and last, the mixing / recording section. So let's start with the sequencer. For the modular system, I use this Euclidean circles sequencer. So it's the brain of my modular system. So the kick, for example, or the other synthesizers are sequenced by the Euclidean circles. The Euclidean circles is triggered by the looper. So if we talk about the clock, it comes from the looper. So here I have 140 BPM right now, and the Midi cable goes out to my modular system into this module from Erica Synth, the Black Midi CV, and it transforms Midi into CV signals. So every time I press stop, the light will stop here. And when I play start, of course, then the looper plays and the modular system too. So that's very cool. Okay, and the sequencer has like trigger, the yellow ones, and the blue ones are the in between parts where no trigger is played. And you have like 6 circles, so page A and page B, and and every circle has, of course, 16 steps, so 1 bar if you want, but you can also make less steps. So for example here, I hope you can see it, but I will explain. So here, for example, only 4 steps. Okay, so the kick is triggered by this sequencer and these synthesizers too. And not only the instruments, but also the quantized LFO and the sidechain. Yeah. And then I have 3 slots like this. For example, for this delay to send trigger inputs. Yeah, so it has dotted 8th note delay triggered by the Euclidean circles. So I love this module. It is very tiny in comparison, and and I will show you a few rhythm tricks in a few minutes. But we can now go on and we look at the kick. So at this setup, this DFAM here is for the kick. So 1/4 of the modular setup is just the kick, because I love the kick drum from the DFAM. And in the sound example you heard, we had a softer sounding kick. So let's hear it again. And when we hear it, I will change from the triangle wave to the square wave. So sometimes also in live settings I use the square wave to have a harder sound. Okay, so you heard different settings of the kick, and the most important part is the first oscillator. So it's just the triangle or the square wave, and most importantly the pitch that goes every time it triggers. It goes from high to the normal tone in a short second, or even shorter than a second. So let's play with the pitch setup. So what I like most about this kick is that when you have a live performance, you can change the pitch for every venue you are in. So every place you have a live gig has a different sound, of course. And so when I make the sound check, I will turn the pitch exactly in this height, to have a perfect kick, so a perfect bass. And so that's a very nice advantage of having a live kick. So no sample, just an analog synth. And then I can show you also that I use the noise as a modulation source for the cutoff or for the filter. So it has a little bit more grittiness in it. So you hear now how I turn the modulation up, and you can, especially when you have a triangle wave, I mix the second oscillator also in to have a top kick. So this oscillator is more for the lower frequencies, and this one for the higher frequencies. So this setting, for example, sounds almost exactly like when you have enabled the Redux plugin. So you have a little bit more texture for the kick, and this is very nice. Okay, and the very last thing, so it's it's maybe the most important part, that I can change the rhythm of the kick in less than a second. So you don't have the standard 4 to the floor. No, you have like the in-between rhythms, so you can make tiny adjustments, and this is what I love about the DFAM kick. So let's play one more time a little bit with the trigger. So / velocity of the kick. It just makes fun. Okay, then we go to the synth / rhythmic section. And for that I use the second DFAM and the quadranted swarm. So yeah, for example, this sound here. Yeah, the DFAM is the perfect techno synth, because that sounds for me like, yeah, the pure techno sound, especially raw, hypnotic, Berghain techno. Yeah, okay. And what I do in my performances is that I change between this synth and this. So sometimes it's more melodic, sometimes it gets more rhythmic. So of course you heard the heads from the looper, but sometimes I also make like hi-hats on these two. So now we hear this sound, and in the same time I will make a hi-hat here. So yeah, let's try it out. As you can hear, I made a little hi-hat, and here was our melodic part. And the same I can do with here. So now we can make a rhythmic part here and make a more melodic sound on the quadranted swarm. So, and this technique I use to make like endless ideas, especially when I have a live performance. The only samples I have are the hi-hat samples and the own recorded stuff. So when we come to the looper section in a second, you can hear that. But yeah, so almost every idea come from these two synths. Okay, I just have a few sips of my coffee. Yeah, so what you heard was I changed from a melodic part to kind of hi-hat. Let's hear just the part, hi-hat part. Then I patched the pitch knobs for the decay, so you have a little change, or not little, but you hear a good change in the decay, so it's more interesting. Okay, that sounds very good. So, and then we had head here. And after that, I changed to a more deeper, harsher sound. And the sound you hear now in a few seconds is very mellow. So I changed it quite fast to show you the mellow sound. So if I would play live, I would do the change more subtle and a little bit organic. The other important thing about these two synths is the combination with the sequencer. So it's not only for just going the straight sequencer rhythm. So let me explain it. Like if you have little breaks in between, you get a polyrhythmic rhythm. So here you heard the polyrhythm, and when I play it again, you will hear it, and then I change to a straight sequencer rhythm. So yeah, have a focus on the change. Now it's straight. And now it's like polyrhythmic or polymetric. Yeah, and this sounds a little bit strange, but when you hear the kick simultaneously, it sounds very techno, very hypnotic. The same we can do with the head rhythm. So we first hear a straight head rhythm, and then I change it to a little more polymetric sound. So, what works always best is a combination of a straight rhythm and a polymetric rhythm. Yeah. So, yeah. before we go to the looper, I will explain that, you can also make, for this synth, you can also have the reset button. And, for example, have 5/16 notes, so it only goes to the 5th sequencer step and then it repeats itself. Okay, so the looper is also an important part of the setup. So I would say the most important part is the modular case, of course. But the looper I use for the heads, because we made heads here, but sometimes you need more high definition heads that actually sounds like organic heads and not analog or digital created heads. So this is an important part, and for my next gig or performance in the future, I will also I think I just download a hi-hat sample pack and make my own samples in Ableton and then use it here. But only heads, so everything else I make here. So this is the main focus. So you already heard this one, for example. I compressed it a little bit in Ableton, but what's also good here is in this 505 Roland looper, you can make a little compression in the main settings. So on every loop and every sound you hear is a little bit compression and a little bit reverb. It helps definitely. Then, for example, this hi-hat to have more, more feeling. It's not that straight like this one, but together they sound very nice too. Okay, but in general, I use the looper also for recording a good idea for the performance. So I have only 2 instruments, so it's already enough. But if you want to use, for example, this DFAM, and then after this you don't want to use the quadranted swarm, you can just record the DFAM and then use another sound for the same instrument. So we will do exactly this. So I play and I record something here, and then I play another patch over our recorded section, a recorded part. now we have it recorded. Okay, nice. So I recorded first the first patch. Very nice. And then I recorded a more playful patch. So this is totally easy and makes a lot of fun. So I can highly recommend Looper. So when, just a tip, when you start, a looper can help. So you don't need too much oscillators or even so much effects, because I will explain in a few minutes or a few moments the effect section. So in this looper, for example, there are many effects, and so I have to use less effects. I can have more space for other stuff in the modular system. So I recorded these two. So the only thing I need now for jamming the next few minutes would be this kick and these two recorded sections. And then I can make I can make a new sound, for example, on the quadranted swarm, and play this. And so you see, this is my approach to a live set. So you have enough time to make a new patch. So okay. Now we come to the effects part. And I will start with this one here. So it's the Expert Sleepers Disting, and I use it for a quantized LFO. So it's not an audio effect; it's more a CV modulation. But it is somehow it's an effect, and I think it's very powerful. So I will give you an example. Okay, now I will explain. So you hear this constant rise of the tone, and without the kick it sounds a little bit random, but if we turn the kick on and maybe ahead, then you will hear it's in sync with the kick. Now we will double the rhythm, so it is 2 times faster, and after this I will make it back to the original LFO speed, and then I will make it half time. So normal speed, double speed, normal speed, half time. Without the LFO. And now with. Okay, very nice. You can also use the quantized LFO for the filter. So we just use this tone here. And we'll put the quantized LFO on the filter. Okay, so for me it sounds so nice because you have this movement, and techno is about movement. So yeah, the quantized LFO is perfect. So yeah, I will play with the filter and I will vary the speed, and then we will come to using the LFO for the velocity. But now, again for the filter. that makes fun. Yeah, and you can do a lot with it. So I also have a patch I often use in live performances where, yeah, maybe I will just do it and you hear the patch. But right now, I realize the patch I'm talking about is with the another LFO, but it's not quantized. So let's have it in order. Like first I will show you the quantized LFO with the velocity, and then we come to the free LFO. And the velocity LFO I will use in combination with the DFM hi-hat. So we make a simple hi-hat. And now the LFO. And for this we use this time a square LFO, square wave. Okay, so what we heard is that due to the square LFO, so the quantized square LFO, there was a break between the rhythm. So breaks are also very effectful because you have time to relax, or yeah, it's a change between exciting rhythms and the break. So, and also in the breaks you can have another interesting thing happening. So we will once again hear the rhythm with the break, and in the break I will make a tone or another rhythm with the quadranted swarm. very nice to play. And yeah, that's for me the core of nice techno. So to use spaces in between and create a conversation between rhythms. Let's go on to the audio effects. So the first audio effect actually is a sidechain. So you will hear it very subtle, so it's not so hearable, but if you want, you can make it hearable. So we will use the DFAM for the hi-hat, and I will play with the intensity of the sidechain. So this is without. And now we will add the sidechain. So what it does, it has a little room to breathe. But it's important that you have the trigger of the sidechain right. So every time I set up my modular case, I will have to see if the trigger is right. We can do that, for example, with the quadranted swarm. So now we will hear the trigger, and it has to be in sync with the kick. Okay, so it was 1/16th note off, so now it's on the same note as the kick if we use 4 on the floor. But if we have another rhythm on the kick, the sidechain also makes a good effect. So now we will hear the sidechain once again with the aligned trigger to the kick. Yes. Okay. So not only the DFAM number 2 goes through the sidechain, of course, but also the quadranted swarm, and it helps to to make it a little bit more rhythmic, because techno also is about organic rhythm. So it's a nice addition to just hear the straight 16th notes. So without sidechain, a little bit static, and with sidechain, a little bit more organic. Okay, so the next effect is the this one here. So it's the, let me get it right, I think the Electus Versio. So now it is on the plate, it's called the Des Modus Versio, but actually you can upload any effect from this company for this kind of module into this module. Oh, that was a little bit complicated, but what I mean is they have different effects and you can download it or upload it actually into this device. So it's not the Des Modus, it's the Electus Versio. I hope I got it right. So it's algorithm between delay and reverb. So that's very interesting. And also it has a little bit distortion. So when it gets more full, then yeah, you hear a little distortion. And it has a shimmer mode, and this is very nice. So it sounds a little bit crazy when you turn on the shimmer mode, but that's very nice for transitions. So we first hear the sounds dry, and then I will turn on the effect. And it also has an LFO. Yeah, I think for the pitch, or yeah, I forgot the exact. It makes it a little bit more wobbly. So yeah, and this knob can shift between delay and reverb. So you can also have like an in-between sound. That's very neat. And this is the filter. Okay, we will play with it. Okay, yeah, this effect makes so much fun, so it's perfect for an techno atmosphere. And yeah, so I will show you now the shimmer. isn't that crazy? So yeah, it's very, I like it so much. So yeah, it's always good for a little surprise when you use the shimmer. Now we will come to the effects on the looper. So like I said before, a little bit compression and reverb is on everything what goes to the looper. So by the way, but we will come to it in the mixing part, the kick is not going to the looper. So only the DFM2 and the quadrated swarm. Yeah, so the first effect is just an EQ, and it's a low cut because we want more space for the kick, of course. And sometimes when I use the low pass on the DFM, it has the low frequencies, of course. So the quadrated swarm, for example, has 2 filters, so you can cut the highs and the lows simultaneously. But here it is not possible without another filter, so it helps to make a little space. Then we have a delay. So of course here's the delay too, but sometimes another delay or a real delay, because it's this module is not the usual delay algorithm. So yeah, it's helpful to have a classic delay, and we will hear it now. So nothing special. And then I have a phaser. So I know it's not maybe the best order to use it, but right now the phaser is at the end of the chain and it's okay. So yeah, the phaser adds another movement. So you can see we have movement from the sidechain, movement from the LFO, and I forgot the free LFO, but I will show you in a second. But now we will hear the phaser. We will turn it off. And now we will turn it on again. You hear the phaser. Nice. Okay, now we will come to the free floating LFO. So I already used it a few seconds ago for the filter. So that's also very nice to have a free sine wave on the filter. So without the rhythm. But now I will show you the patch I meant a few minutes before. So we will use this ramp, and yeah, so, or saw wave, and it's reversed, so it will start with a high pitch, so we use it for the pitch, and then it will go down. And yeah, so that sounds very nice on the DFAM, and I will show it to you now. Okay, yes. So now we will come to the last part of this big video, and this is the mixing / recording part. So when it comes to mixing, let's have a look at this module. So this module here is a mixing module for the DFAM and for the quadranted swarm. So I will also have another input. You can use it for maybe just the oscillators, but yeah, in this case we mix it here between the DFAM and the quadranted swarm. And you can also turn it off and on, and you can use this on and off knob as a performance tool. So let's see how it sounds. Okay, so it took a while to find a sweet spot or a nice use of it, but yeah, how I use it a few seconds ago is like you have the control over the sound. So and it sounds nice in combination to the Electus Versio, because the gap you create is filled by the echo of this module, so it sounds very nice. Okay, so and the mixer goes then through the sidechain and the sidechain goes into the Electus Versio. And see, of course, it's if I could decide, I would use the sidechain after the Versio, but the Versio is stereo, and the FX8 has a mono input for the sidechain, because the other input is for the trigger. So I will, you have to use it this way, or use two FX8, but I'm fine with that. Okay, so and every time I record this setup at home, I use the Zoom, and so this input here is just for the kick. So it's funny that it's only the oscillators, so no effects. Sometimes I do a little saturation in Ableton, but it doesn't need compression, because especially the square wave is just audio sausage, so it doesn't need so much compression. Okay, and last but not least, you have the stereo input from the modular system, which goes into the looper, and the looper goes into the Zoom. So you have these two parts, so the kick mono and the stereo synthesizer / rhythmic parts. When I play live, or just jam, then I use this mixer here, so the Mackie 402, and for this I will use the same approach, like a mono channel for the kick with a little bit of gain and a little bit low boost, but only very little tiny boost, and also a little low cut, but also not so much. So here it is. Okay, so and then the stereo looper section goes into this one. It's without the gain, but that is totally fine. And then you have output for, so when I play live, I will put it into a Zone mixer, for example, or Pioneer. And I have the other outputs for recording. So when I record live, I will, I record kick and the other parts at one waveform. So that's totally okay. And that sounds also nice. So that was the whole video. I hope you got a little bit inspiration. And in the next videos, I think I will explain the kick a little bit more, or other parts. So you can also write me if you have interest in a specific section you liked. So just write me a comment, subscribe, and see you next time.